Far too often, LGBTQ plus business owners believe they have to choose between authenticity and being successful. Through these real-life stories, LGBTQ plus listeners aspiring for success can gain valuable insights to navigate their path to being both queer and successful. Hello, everyone. It is me, Hunter J. McNair, your hostess with the mostest, back again for this week's episode of Queer and Successful. Now, if you missed the news, we have just launched the Success Prism Network. And the Success Prism Network talks about 4 key modules that help you become successful. You can learn more about it and join the ongoing monthly challenges at hunterjmcnair.com. Now, this week on the Successful Call, we met with my good Judy, my good pal, Adriana Rodriguez. Adriana and I have known each other for quite some time. She is a woman in commercial real estate in San Antonio, Texas, and she has really broken through barriers as far as being a woman in a male-dominated field. Our conversation today was enlightening, but you're going to learn so much about Adriana because she's so raw and vulnerable. And enjoy today's episode and take a listen. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's call. Today, I am joined by my good Judy, my good pal, Adriana Rodriguez, which is always the most fun name for me to say. You are an iconic diva, just to put it bluntly. What have we been friends for now? How long have we known each other?
I don't know, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah,
Maybe 4 or 5 years.
yeah, I think, were you in which mastermind did you first go to
hmm
at Rainbow Network?
The first one, yes.
Was it the
When was
first one?
that?
Was it New
Yeah.
Orleans?
Oh no, I wasn't there. I wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I wasn't new.
Okay. So I think then we'll say 5 years.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Point being, we've known each other for a long time, and you are a powerhouse, a
Mm,
strong leader in commercial real estate in an industry which is, we would argue, is pretty male dominated, right? And
mm,
you've really kind of like broken through that barrier. And
mm.
obviously you're successful in so many ways. But I'm excited to have you here to talk about like breaking through the mold of that. So for people who don't know you, why don't you just introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, yes, of course. So in Spanish it's Adriana Rodriguez, and in English it's Adriana Rodriguez. I am in San Antonio, Texas. I was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, but I've lived here for longer than I lived in Monterrey. I um I love Hunter. He's such a wonderful person. I was just talking to him about this wonderful platform that he has created to help us all get to know each other a little bit more.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. This podcast slash call that we do every week is really meant to bring amazing people like you the exposure that you deserve and the platforms that, you deserve to have. So I'm excited to have you here. I
Thank
want to
you.
kind of start diving into a little bit about how you've built this thriving business in San Antonio. And obviously, as we mentioned, it's a very much male dominated field
hmm
with commercial
That's
real
right.
estate. What do you think first kind of drew you to commercial real estate, and what gave you that confidence to stake your claim in it?
Well, thank you. I think you're right. It's a very male-dominated world. It is known as without any offense, but it is known as the white man front. People very close knitted. They don't necessarily let anybody in. It was the very first thing that I liked was just the fact that, believe it or not, here in commercial, you can be you. That is the wildest thing. Why do I say that? Excuse me. Because I had a very funny incident. I was talking to a lender on the phone, and I guess my real ID was coming out.
Mhm.
And what I did not like that was happening is that the lender was speaking bad about his own client. But oh my gosh, how could you do that? And then you're the one that is ruining this transaction. It's a residential transaction. You know, we're in the middle of, well, no, we hadn't started COVID. So I was on the phone talking back and forth in the hallway, and Cynthia Lee, which is now the president of the KW commercial for KWRI, comes out of her room and goes, "What are you doing in residential?" Why? And she goes, "Oh my goodness. I mean, you could kill it in this world." So I thought, okay, well, should I do it or should I not? There's a lot of things that I really needed to consider. Pay takes a long time. A
Mhm.
long time. When I say a long time, it's really a long time. Leases, you have to negotiate for a long time. So I had to take all that into consideration. So the broker here in City View said, okay, well, I'll let you do both. I'll let you do residential and commercial. So it was the dream of doing something different. It was the challenge of breaking into something that was not the common among guys. I mean, I am Mexican descent. My English is not. And then on top of that, I'm queer. So it was like, oh, I have all these things against it.
And
So,
successful.
yeah, and successful. So I had to really think about it, but it was fun and exciting. It was the vision of doing something different than anybody else, or that the most people do.
Well, I think that's interesting. I mean, and what's actually fascinating, you mentioned Cynthia Lee because the people running the commercial division for the company at Keller Williams are all women, and so to be entering into a segment of the real estate world that is traditionally been this male-dominated space, and have Keller Williams kind of leading the charge and saying, no, we're changing that, right? And even inspiring you to do it yourself as a Latina, as a queer woman, is really awesome. And I know you as well, and you're kind of like that. You're kind of like I want to charge right into it. So I can totally see you doing that. Now, obviously, there are a lot of industries where women are underrepresented, and standing out both can be a challenge as well as an advantage, right? How have you like turned being kind of like the only or one of a few into a strength for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, okay, so taking it back a little bit,
Yeah.
when Cynthia became the president or the director or one of the leaders before she had the title of president, I remember her telling me that Gary Keller said to her, well, what do we need to do to kill it in commercial? KW. Keller Williams at the moment was not doing that great in commercial. It was just a little more in the mediocres. So he said, what do we need to do? And she said, well, this is going to be hard because you're putting two women in charge and it's male dominated
Mhm.
industry. And they don't just let, I mean, they don't let you in, period. They don't want to pick up the phone. They don't want to answer the emails. They don't want to, literally, they just give you the runaround. So he said to her, well, let's just start buying buildings. And now we're going to be the owners. Now we're going to be the ones saying who we want to do business with. So I thought that was amazing. From there, I walked into the first event that she put together. I walked in and I really, guys, I want you to picture this. There was people of all colors. There was people with the turbans on. There was people that were speaking in a different language. There was females. So then I thought, okay, Keller Williams commercial is it. Keller Williams commercial is providing a space for me to feel good about me, for me to feel strong that I have a back, somebody is backing me up. There's somebody with a lot more experience than me. So that's very important in commercial because you don't want to go into a room where everybody knows everything and you know nothing, and then you're trying to get a deal, and then they're not listening to you because you don't know anything. So it's definitely important to know who is behind you. That's
Mhm.
why it's so important to hear all those statistics about where commercial is standing compared to Keller Williams compared to the other companies. So going back to the question, in this industry that women are underrepresented. One, I have to say, we Keller Williams. Two, we have great people that transition into Keller Williams. They left big companies like Transwestern, to name a few, um, to come in here, to be part of it. To actually, they laugh because they're like, I guess I already drank the juice, because they're like they into it already. So
Yeah.
now we have that vision. Now from there, what is the next thing? You have to train yourself. You have to. I mean, you cannot go into an area because it can be commercial, it can be something else, right? But you have to have the knowledge. You have to, when you first start, you have to have a good mentor, somebody that is really gonna show you how to do business, somebody that you can shadow. I shadowed Cynthia for a whole year, literally listening to her conversations with her clients, driving to appointments, everything that would bring me a lot more knowledge. And that is how I started breaking. I hope I'm
I like
giving you.
that. Well, and I like that because you're basically saying that, the way that I stood out and the way that I made myself known in this space was to just become a true expert in it and not rest on my laurels, right? Like, you're coming into a space as an only or a few, which fortunately for us with Keller Williams specifically, like, you do get that diversity and we focus a lot on that. But you're coming into a space where you are kind of that one of a few, and you understand that you have to, really do what it takes to learn and be the best. Like, I mean, we came in as one of the, well, I guess we're still the only out and proud real estate team here in Raleigh. And, we've been saying that for 10 years now. I've been doing this for 10 years. No one ever fights me on it. I'm still waiting. But I don't say that with a like, oh, I'm just going to say it and it's going to get me business. Like, you have to put in the work, right? You have to put in the training and the knowledge. Now,
Yes.
I know about you that you had a background in the restaurant industry as well, right? So you kind of dabbled in like commercial in a way. How do
Yes.
you think like those experiences helped prepare you to kind of compete in this industry that you're in now?
So I want to encourage everybody that if, I mean, no matter what type of background you have, because I had a restaurant background, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a second. But I
Yeah.
want to encourage everybody to just think back to whatever background you have. I mean, whatever you did when you were a teenager, that you were just doing a job here, a job there, that truly was preparing you. And that's what prepared me for what I'm doing right now. Now, did I have to open my own restaurant here in San Antonio? Yes. Did I have to navigate through the nuances and all the situations that come in when you start a new business, that people don't believe in you? You have to build up your business plan. You have to understand numbers. You have to understand which side of the street should you be in. You need to understand demographics around you. All those details. In a way, sometimes I think that we should always be looking for that, for what we're doing, whether it's residential, whether it's for our own home. We should be thinking about things like that. Why? Because we can think about, okay, it's going to be my resale value. Am I going to be able to lease this later? So the fact I had been in the restaurant business first, oh, that was huge. That was huge. However, is not it. I want everybody to know that everybody could do what I'm doing. It's just literally just going back and thinking, okay, well, I went to eat at this particular location. How did they treat me? How is the flow moving? They used to say, okay, I love it when you're following me, because I was able to help her with the restaurants. I could stand in one side of the kitchen and say, this worked this way, this worked this way. But one of the things, guys, is that sometimes we put limits on ourselves. Sometimes we can't see the big picture. Sometimes we say, oh, no, I can't do that. It's too hard. Oh, I shouldn't. But we're the ones putting that ceiling on ourselves. And we really need to lift that. We really need to remove it, because the possibilities are endless. Not only for those of us that have a background in that or in a particular niche, but for all of us. We can do anything we want. And here in commercial, you can do that too.
Mm. Well, what I'm also hearing you say is that, anybody can also pull from previous experiences, right?
Mhm.
And really utilize those experiences and bring it into whatever you decide to do. So, you having that restaurant background allowed you to offer like a different perspective in the commercial space that other people didn't have. So, you did have a
Yes.
competitive advantage, if you may,
Hmm.
than other people.
Yes.
And I think being able to identify what your competitive advantage is always going to help you succeed, right?
Yes.
It's going to help
Hmm.
you overcome any of these types of challenges that you have. Now, I know that commercial real estate takes a long time to get paid. I do know that. I know you mentioned that already. Do you find it's highly competitive and high pressure as well? Like, is it a lot there?
Gosh, I mean, Jim Barber, I see him here in the call. He's also commercial. I'm gonna have to say, and I don't know, I think he's gonna agree with me. I'm gonna look at his face to see if he agrees with me or not. But I think there's more competition in the residential world.
Oh,
I think
really?
that we collaborate a lot more than in the residential. I think that I can easily go across the hall, which I have my amazing friend Rab, and say, "Hey, Rab, what do you think about this? Would you come in the transaction with me?" And what coming in into a transaction means I'm going to split commission.
Right.
Because our goal is not necessarily thinking about that. Yeah, especially in Keller Williams commercial. Yeah, I see that, what Jim says. Our goal is to get to the final, whatever it is, if it's going to be get that tenant in, if it's going to be purchase that property or sell that property, because it's almost like a group effort. Would you agree, Jim, that it is kind of like a group effort? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a really nice environment. Because everybody thinks that it's not. Here in Colorado's commercial is really, really.
Well, that makes sense to me. I mean, you're talking about things that do take a longer time, that are clients that are harder to place, and you have to kind of work in this more collaborative space. And I think that that actually is probably something that allows you to have some type of advantage over others because I know how collaborative you are, right? I know how much you like working with people to get things done because it's a job and everyone's looking for the same goal. And those kind of qualities that you have about you have really kind of helped you succeed in this industry as well. Now, you're also, as we've already aforementioned, bilingual. You're a queer woman in the space. How did you really kind of like figure out how to build more trust and connect with clients and shape those kind of spaces you worked in? Do you find yourself working with more of the bilingual community or more of the queer community?
The queer community is not fully out in the
Yeah.
commercial world. I would say that is still not necessarily in the closet, but definitely not quite visible.
Right.
There are still some sort of stereotypes there. Might not allow people to fully embrace that. And I get it. It took me all these years to get to this point. Now I'm leading the Rainbow commercial, which, we're having to literally like pick people. Come on, okay, come on over. It's safe space here. So, or people showing up on the call and say, "Oh, please don't tell anybody that I showed up. I'm not part of the community." So it's interesting. I think, yeah, I think there's still a lot of work to be done in that space. Now, when it comes to language, that's a good one. I
Mm.
think some of you have heard me say this, that I say I speak culture. I don't not necessarily speak Spanish. I know how to negotiate, and it's important, guys. I would say that even in residential, but it's in residential is a little more like step 1 through 10, and here is you get out a little bit of the box. I just had a negotiation. Some of you have heard me say, okay, we're going to have a party there at my client's new place on the river, and it took me some months to negotiate that lease, and my clients are Mexican descent, and the landlords are very set in their way. They're Caucasian, and is old school San Antonio. And let me tell you, there was $80,000 as a deposit to be put in to be able to get this space. So it isn't something that is that welcomed although I think we're still growing into. You do, I think the language, whatever language you speak, is so important that you embrace it because you're going to find some clients there. I've been able to give voice to some of my friends from Mexico, for example, or other countries, Latin American countries, that otherwise would not be able to get into any spaces because they're literally in. So is my English perfect? No, but now we have ChatGPT that helps us communicate really good. So yeah, I'm here to give those a voice because they
I
do need.
well, I like that perspective on it because I like that you say I don't speak Spanish, I speak culture. Because I think reality is that we are meant to be the bridge between clients, right? And so you have these different perspectives that allow you to connect people and allow
Yes,
deals to happen, allow, transactions to transpire. I think that I think it's fascinating to hear about the lack of LGBTQ plus representation within commercial, but you're not the first person to ever tell me that, right? I've heard that before. And it's kind of fascinating, and I kind of want to ask, like, why do you think that is?
we go back to the idea of the fat men. What's it called? The white men club. That
Yeah.
some people might not be okay with it. There might be certain beliefs, which I think that at this point, I mean, I don't know, things are a little weird right now. But when it was announced in the summit last year in November, I thought, oh my gosh, should I raise my hand or not? Should I? When Alicia Shepherd said, okay, we are gonna start the rainbow commercial, I thought, okay, yes, no, yes, no, yes. I'm like, oh well, what the heck? It just said yes. So I think that whoever's gonna want to work with me is just gonna want to work with me regardless of what I am or who I am.
Yeah.
So why I think there's still a lot of ideas out there that might not necessarily be true. When I got into my market center, there were a couple of people that I literally have to sit down and say, this is this is me. This is how we most people would think in the LGBTQ community. We're nice people. We're normal people. We we're not gonna hurt anybody. We're not gonna hurt your daughter, your son, nothing. We're just people, right? So I literally have to have had conversations with some people, yeah, that needed to learn. And now they thank me for that because they are like, okay, well, now we can see. I said, yeah, it's just have to put things into perspective. Just have to put yourself in the other shoes. I mean, who of us in the community said, "Oh, I would like to be part of the LGBTQ community"? None of us wanted to. I mean, if anybody would have had a choice, not been the choice. So
Right.
I think that there's some growth there still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that even Alicia Shepherd's amazing. So, fun fact about her, I'll kind of backtrack on this in a second, but I want to tell you a story about her. So, me
Mhm,
and her actually met before, like long time ago, like when we were both fairly new in the industry, and we actually were at a spring masterminds together
mhm, mhm,
at the same table. And so I knew her before she,
mhm,
obviously became in her role now. So it's kind
mhm.
of funny. We've kind of stayed connected all those years, and she's grown to where she is. But I want to say that, people like her, people like yourself, that are breaking barriers, right, into an industry, it allows other barriers to break through, right? It allows,
Yes,
it will eventually allow, LGBTQ plus people to feel more
yes,
comfortable in a commercial
yes,
space, not so, afraid to be in it because you're giving them permission to not be, right?
yes.
So it's a very powerful thing. I mean, and you're negotiating these high stake deals. And we've talked a lot before this call, we started talking a little bit about authenticity and how
Yeah,
important authenticity is. And
yes.
also that you're assertive, right? And that you're a very dominant personality. How do you balance that? And then how do you balance, as time, especially as a woman in a male dominated industry where you might
Mhm.
feel underestimated?
You know, one of the times that I was shadowing Cynthia, we drove to Laredo, to the border town, Laredo. And right before she got out of the car, she grabbed several of her pens. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I need them." Because the moment they see me, they just see a woman.
Mm.
And when I walk in and show them what I know without having to speak yet, because we're not even talking yet. We're just looking at each other. She said, that will give me credibility. So indeed, you have to be able to be authentic in a good way. Like respectful, yes. Do I have to, if I'm gonna see a client in commercial, am I gonna dress up? Yes, you better believe I'm gonna dress up. Yes. I'm not gonna show up just like that unless I'm looking at land in the middle of nowhere. Like, then I'll put my cowboy boots and
I was gonna say you're gonna put your cowboy boots on.
yes, which I call them something else. But anyway, everyone laughs when I put my boots on. Like, okay, this is just not me. But anyway, so but do I have to like level up? Do I have to show a different game? I have to because otherwise people are not going to listen to me. People are not going to hear me, and people are definitely not going to want to do business with me. So that is the step number one. The second thing is, oh gosh, guys, I mean, we have to prepare. We cannot jump into a business or an area or a niche that we don't know nothing about it and pretend we do. We have to be realistic. We have to say what you don't want to, what you don't know, you just don't know. I can tell you a story. I represent a landlord. He has businesses all over the world. I mean, he travels back and forth to Dubai. He's my biggest client. He's excellent at numbers. His father sells commercial real estate in LA. That gives you an idea, right? One day he said to me, I don't care about working with X, Y, or Z. I care about you caring for my center. Therefore, if there is a need with the numbers, I'm going to help you. So listen to that. I mean, that's just huge when somebody, your own client saying, hey, don't worry about the numbers. All I want is someone that is going to be authentic, that is going to tell me what I need to hear, not what she or he would want me to hear just so I can get the deal done. So you
Right.
have to be yourself. You have to show the reality of your persona for people to connect with you. That's just important for me to get because we all want to come in and pretend. We all want to come in and say, oh, well, I'm this perfect thing. Oh, we're not. And those that are going to want to do business with us are going to want to do business. And those that don't, then oh, well, so be it. It's going to be a difficult transaction. So it's better to just connect with those. And for example, right there, he is of Asian descent, speak
Mm.
any language in that, in that regard. However, is the culture. What do I mean with that? It's just the way we do business. It's the way that we communicate. It's the authenticity. Here we go again, the authenticity. But hey, Hunter, I lasted a lot of years not being able to be authentic. So I'm done.
Yeah, yeah.
Always,
It's a lot
always
more
me.
fun.
This is
Yeah,
what you get.
yeah, this is what you
You can
get.
ask Adriana Freer. She knows who I am, right, Adriana? ID personality.
Go, go, go. I mean, here's the thing, like, we are in an industry, and I think any business owner is in the industry of having trust with their clients, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's in a restaurant industry, whether it's in real estate, it doesn't matter. You want the consumer to trust you. And
Mm,
how can a consumer trust an inauthentic
yeah.
person? Right?
Yes.
They cannot trust an inauthentic person or an inauthentic business. You see that
Yeah.
called out all the time. That's how businesses lose money. So,
Yeah.
and kind of embracing that authenticity has really, allows you to thrive in the space because people are drawn to that, right? People are actually
Yes.
drawn to trusting people. And now you're obviously, we've already mentioned, you're leading the commercial, I would say, I guess, division of the Rainbow
Yeah.
Network for Keller Williams,
Mhm.
right? You're doing these things with our commercial agents, and you're becoming this leader in this space because of it. And so it's also, what happens is when you lead with so much authenticity, it's like this like snowball effect of just more and more opportunity, which you're
Yes.
finally reaping the rewards of, which is really
That's
cool. Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be here. So I love my community. I love my peers, and I love my colleagues because you have no idea how many times we've done business with each other just by walking outside of the door and say, "Hey, I have a client that needs XYZ. Do you have anything that can fit?" No, but you know what? I saw it somewhere else, and then there's an opportunity to be looking for more business for themselves, and then well, teaming with each other. So it's truly amazing. It's truly amazing.
Do you think you've experienced a time where you've been kind of like someone has like had a misconception about you being a woman in the commercial space where you've proven them wrong? Have you had that happen?
Yeah, those are fun. I have to say, guys, that's often I have to call, well, not often, not as much anymore as it was. At the
Mm.
beginning, I actually would call one of my Caucasian males friends here in the office and I would say, hey, do me a favor, can you reach out to such and such because he's not as, I mean, literally like that. It would be like days and no phone call back, no text back, no nothing. So at the beginning, I have to do a lot of that. Now not so much. Now I'm able to take care of it myself. But it's so interesting because this truly comes in, and that's why I say this applies for everybody. It doesn't just apply for commercial. You literally have to think about it that way. The more you know about your business, the more you dominate that area, the more you find that your niche is the better you're going to present yourself out there with your clients. And therefore, people listen to you because now they know that you're not telling them any lies. You're literally just going to what is true and real. That comes from experience. That comes from knowledge. That comes from listening to others and being able to be guided by others too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's hard, I think. I think people don't like to be vulnerable, right? And to go through like the growing pains that we need to go through in order to truly be not only authentic but also successful, right?
Yes.
Kind of doing your time and putting, saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna," like we said, we're not gonna rest on our laurels. We're gonna really do what it takes to succeed and learn. And you've kind of built this career and this business through that resilience, right? And that
Yeah.
hustle.
Yeah.
Um, what's like a moment you had a major obstacle and then how did
Man.
you break through it?
So okay. So for example, let's talk about that shopping center in particular.
Yeah.
That the one that I'm referring to is a shopping center that I got the lead. Was it 3 years ago? About 3 years ago. um, when I had never done, I had never represented the landlord on a lease in a shopping center that size. We're
Mm.
talking, this is 103,000. The vacancy was very, very high. I thought, okay, I got the lead. Um, how am I going to get this landlord to trust in me? How is he going to be convinced that I can actually lease his place? So what I did is what I would recommend anybody that is in commercial do. I teamed up.
Mm.
For a whole year, I had somebody else with me, somebody that had a lot of experience in landlord rep in a shopping center that size. I invited him to the appointment. We had the appointment together. And this is the funny thing. You know, the landlord connected with me. He kept asking me questions about my restaurant life. He wanted to know how I grew up. He wanted to know how many years I've been in the restaurant. We had this guy that was like a star in the multi-tenant retail,
Mm.
but he was asking me questions to somebody that didn't really have that much experience. It was very interesting. So I had to be able to overcome that. What did I do? I teamed up. I teamed up with
Right.
somebody because my ego is not. I
Well,
wanted to give
yeah.
him the best service.
Well, and I think I'm hearing a theme, which is that no one succeeds alone.
That's right. That's
Right?
right. Right.
You've kind of already caught out these multiple times through your career where someone has, you've used like Cynthia Lee or Alicia Shepherd or even this person to say, hey, like I am not the smartest person in the room, right? I don't always need to be. I don't need to always know everything, but I do need to have the power to set my ego aside and ask for help.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. Um, we'll get to that because mindset is. So going back to that shopping center, literally, he's right behind me on the other side of the hallway.
Yeah.
And he said to me earlier when we were talking about this interview, he said, "Do you realize that I always wanted to leave that place?" That was one of his like goals. He said, "Never gotten the lead. I've never been able to contact the owner. So you got me there." Now, a year later, this landlord decided he didn't need to work with him anymore. And he actually fired him and kept me. So that was another big, big moment. I was like, oh, shoot. I even went to the broker and said, excuse me, how do I do this? He goes, oh, no, no, the landlord has to do it himself. I said, okay. And to this moment, he teases me and says, well, you got me fired. No, I did. But we're laughing because it was truly the landlord said, I connect with you more.
Mm.
So there it goes back to the authenticity, guys, the honesty. And today, this person said to me, do you realize that in 6 years, no one leased the space? Do you realize that you came in, I have 3 vacancies, right? Three. This is
Mm.
103 square feet, I mean, multi-tenant. So I'm very myself. So now I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to get these 3 spaces leased? Because now I want it 100%. So here goes. The other thing that comes to me is that now it's a challenge.
Yeah. I
What
mean, you've got such a drive and such a determination to get stuff done, you know? Like you're just not going to let anything stop you. And I think that what is amazing about that is that that is authentically who you are. So it's easier for that to happen for you. But at the same time, I think you just care, right? Like you really care about creating a good client experience, right?
I
Yeah.
care about people. I love
Yeah.
people.
It's a little bit more fun that way, you know?
It
Yeah.
is. It's a lot more fun together than ourselves. And I love the communities when we are able to share with each other, when we're able to help each other. And
Yeah.
how we were talking earlier about the James Shaw community.
Hmm.
Some of my friends that from the James Shaw community are here, and we help each other. We collaborate because honestly, our knowledge is going to be greater if we can do that than not. What goes
Yeah.
around comes.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I told you earlier, James will be on the call in 2 weeks. So,
Really?
James and I go back as well. I've been doing this a long time. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, how long have I been doing this? So we're excited to have James on because James is a great example of someone who practices what he preaches, uh,
That's right.
as well. And him being that representation for everyone allows us all to be a little bit more better, right?
Mhm.
Now, what advice would you give women or anyone who might feel marginalized who are earlier in their careers, whether it's like commercial real estate or otherwise, that might feel intimidated about entering an industry where they're not like the common person?
Yeah. I think it's definitely going to have to go to the mindset.
Mm.
I'll tell you a story. My father sold real estate in Mexico. I'm telling you that my dad would have to literally, like, they would do cooks, right? Like, they would cook outside or like some sort of a barbecue, I'm assuming. I'm just imagining this, right? This is years and years ago. And the leftover food, he would take it home to feed us. Okay. Now,
Okay.
on the other side, we had a very successful woman, which was my mother, which was a chemist. Very unusual for Mexicans to, at that moment in time, to have women's, right? And one day I had my very first big listing, and it was a land listing. I was one of the first few ones. And I said, Dad, look at this. I took him to the site. I showed him the site. I told him everything that I have done, the pictures and the details and how I was promoting it. But you know what he said to me?
Hmm.
Do you believe you can sell it?
Hmm.
That's it. And I really sat there and thought, oh, maybe I'm down in myself. Yeah. So to everybody, whether you're a woman or a man and you're trying to get into commercial or other, whatever it is, do you believe in yourself? Because that simple phrase, oh, and it makes me emotional. That simple phrase that my dad said to me that moment represented a lot.
Yeah.
I had everything lined up. I was not believing in myself. I didn't believe in me. nothing was going to line up.
Yeah.
All I needed to do was trust. I was doing was okay. How do you do that? Oh, how do you do that? Here comes the issue. I mean, then you have to surround yourself with the right people. You
Yeah.
have to have the right people in your corners so that you can do this. I mean, I remember Rab across the hall from me. He would say things. He would say to me, "No, no, 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 no. You're not gonna say that. No, scratch that. You can do this.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you can't do it." And I was like, "Well,
Hello.
I don't know about that."
Very good. Yeah. I didn't present today.
How
No.
about Tasha?
Is somebody unmuted? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to have the right cheerleaders, guys. I mean, whatever it is that you're doing, please, if you hear anybody being negative around you, I'm sorry, but you should not have space. You should really move them outside of your life and don't let that influence you, because believe it or not, it does influence you, because you start hearing it and somehow it becomes normal and then it becomes part of you. No, no, take that out. I mean, it doesn't have to be all rainbows and unicorns, although we love it.
We love those. We
But
do.
but it has to be realistic. Put your feet on the ground, then hear everything positive, because it's going to change your life.
I like that you said all that. Well, I think it's funny that I wore my Believe shirt today.
Yeah.
You brought that up. We talk, Keller Williams talks a lot about the fear of faith you choose, right? But we don't talk enough about like what you just said, which is the reality of it. It's like, do you believe you can do it? Do you believe that you can accomplish it? Do you tell yourself, are you giving yourself the affirmations, those positive phrases of encouragement and reinforcement that what you're doing will lead to the results that you're looking to achieve?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I mean, I mean, what would be the thing you suggest to people to, how to believe in themselves? Like, what do you tell people to do there? Just surround themselves with people who believe in them?
Yeah. And also, what you tell yourself matters. Pay
Yeah.
attention to those words that you're saying. I mean, it is as simple as, oh, I'm too fat. Oh, how stupid. Oh, how, I mean, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop yourself. I mean, there's such thing as some sort of humble, fake, it's a false humility, false humility. I mean, you have to truly, truly say, you know what, I am worthy and I can do this. Whatever Gary Keller is constantly saying, you can be anywhere you want years, is truly the same thing that we do to each other. We do to ourselves. You have to, for the longest, I used to say, my affirmations, I would start with my affirmations. I would start, and then sometimes I would call my wife and say, hey, I don't know what to do. I mean, I feel like this, and she would literally have to go through all those affirmations with me. I had I wasn't in the right mindset when I first started in the commercial, so it was a constant. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Now, when it comes to the business side of it, here we go. For example, I just signed that big lease. So what's going to happen? Now we'll get more credibility. All of a sudden, my name will be out there because now it's something very visible, something that is very large. So that comes with time. But before you get to the point, make sure that you are feeding yourself with the right people, surrounding yourself with the right people, putting yourself in the right rooms, and creating those opportunities to continue to be healthy in your mind. Big, big, big deal here.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, they say you're the summary of the five people you surround yourself with, right? And we think of that in many different ways. We also need to add, we think of that as like, okay, like I'm surrounding myself with successful people, let me be successful. But it's also like, who are your champions, right? Who are the people who believe in you as much as you deserve to believe in yourself?
That's right.
And those words of affirmations, like I have my own that I created years ago. And now that we're talking about this, I'm like, I should like make a new list, and just start saying it
Yes.
because it's been so long. You got to revisit the ones that you have. But it's funny. I made a list back in I think 2018 that I'm recalling as we speak, and one of them, I could recite, and I know that if I said it now, it would be really hard for me to believe that I never believed that about myself.
Yeah.
Because I said it so much to myself back then that now it's like, why did I never believe that about myself? You know? And that's
Right.
kind of that power of that positive reinforcement. To kind of wrap up before we open up for any discussion or questions from everyone, if you could share a mindset shift that helped you break the mold and lead on your own terms, what would it be? Like maybe what was that affirmation that you had that you think led you to where you are?
When I first started, my wife used to say, anytime you walk into a room, you have to say, I am powerful, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, and I can shine in the middle of everybody. And I had a hard time. If you guys would have seen me about, I don't know, almost 6 years ago, 5 years ago, first time one of the coaches inside the office said to me, I don't understand. You're not doing the work, but you show up to our sessions all the time. He would say, I can't understand this. And he's young, but very successful. And I had no words. All of a sudden, something probably brought him light. And he said, stand up. And I stood, and he goes, repeat after me. I'm beautiful. Believe it or not, I could not say. I could not word on it. Beautiful. It took a lot of strength to say I'm beautiful. By the time I finished the word beautiful, I was in tears because I did not believe any of that for me. I did not believe smart. I did not believe anything. But I was there. I was consistent. I wanted to change, but I didn't know how. So now I just believe that everybody's beautiful and everybody has their own light and everybody has their own chance to be bright star and to shine all over the people. So now my belief is that if I doubt, I say, I can do this. I mean, earlier I got a text from my wife saying, you don't understand. You are smarter than you think. So hearing those beautiful words always makes me remember over the weekend that we were at in Orlando. These cards passed. Some of y'all that were there, Adriana, Devin, Steve, Raquel, so are the ones that I can see. So I was very fortunate to receive 3 cards, and 2 of the people that sent me those. Oh no, the 3 people that gave me that. Hey, here. When I read the cards, it's just beautiful to come back and read them again and say, okay, thank you, because now I know that others believe that, me too. And even though we should not necessarily be focused on what others think about us, it's so nice to hear those beautiful words. So whenever you guys have a chance, do that to others. Tell them how grateful you are. Because you don't understand or you have no idea how much those people need to hear. We really don't know what the impact of words can do to others. So if we start a trend of being grateful for what others, we would allow everybody else to shine as much as we want to shine. There's room for everybody, guys. There's room for everybody. There's business for everybody. We just have to allow it.
You have me smiling ear to ear. I am grateful for you, Adriana, because you are beautiful and smart and wonderful and kind. And I will just add that you are creating spaces for people to exist within them. And I think that's very beautiful. So thank you for sharing with me today. Thanks for listening today, friends. If you enjoyed this call, do not forget to join Queer and Successful, the community on Facebook, as well as register to participate in these calls live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern at successfulcall.com. See you next time. Bye.